Come on, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on in, sip some tea while we spilling the tea. Yeah. Real talk, real smiles down the street. Safe space vibes, clarity. Pull up a chair, yeah, you found.
Hey, Cup Gang, we're back.
Hey, we're back.
All right, so let's get into a refill. Let's do a little circle back.
Okay, we can circle back. I do circles.
Anywho, all right, so I was thinking that we probably should circle back to our topic where we talked about choices.
Okay.
Choices.
Choices. Okay, so what in particular? Because we talked about a few things in that.
Where people think that in our field that there isn't, I don't want to say that there's no room for growth, but I guess it kind of runs into that.
Okay.
Where people have the mindset that there is a difference between job and career.
Okay. So for me, a job mindset would be somewhere where I would go to perform my tasks. I would check in at the beginning, perform my task, and at the end of the day, leave. Not a lot of unnecessary interactions, definitely nothing that I would consider career building or anything like that. That would be a job mindset to me. Somewhere you go, you perform your duties, that's it, and you're done.
Clock in, do your duty, and go home.
Exactly. That would be a job.
Gotcha.
A career in my mind would be something that you have a passion for and you are going to do your very best to be the very best at it. You are going to have a continuing learning mindset about whatever said thing is. And you will be constantly trying to level up and figure out growth opportunities within that position. To me, that would be a career.
Nurture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with the assistants, we'll start with the assistants.
Okay.
How they feel that there is a ceiling. Because I know sometimes with me working in administration, I feel that too.
Okay.
And we'll talk about admin in a moment. But
okay.
Since we're on assistants, here we go.
Okay, so for assistants, yes, it can feel like there is not a lot of growth within assisting. A lot of times, the professional growth you hear for assistants is moving to admin or moving to a different station, so to speak.
Treatment coordinator,
right?
possible office manager.
Coming out of chair side, which that's not necessarily the truth. You can grow chair side by learning different skills, expanding your functions, as they say, and gaining other kind of skills that could help with chair side. So not just the technical stuff, not just the clinical things that you do, but also some of the leadership stuff you can tap into, soft skills you can tap into, and as well as the clinical aspects of it. So for instance, if your office is really modern and up to date and you guys are doing, say, for instance, digital dentistry, learning how you can level up your skills in 3D printing, if you're going to be doing that, 3D printing, in-house milling, learning how to stain and glaze those crowns so it looks like a lab technician did it. That can help you grow professionally. So there's a lot of different ways that you can grow clinically and or professionally and still remain chairside. You don't necessarily have to leave the chair side. Now, moving on to admin, yeah, that's another growth opportunity for assistants within the practice, which I think if you get to the point where you can't do chairside anymore, you're no longer interested in chairside, moving into an admin position would be advantageous to you, because I feel like someone clinical moving into an administrative position has more of an idea of how to move through the admin space of a dental office. If you know if you have a little clinical knowledge, it really sets you apart from the average admin person who doesn't necessarily have any dental knowledge.
It does, because it allows you, because, I work chair side.
Right.
And even though that's not my role anymore, sometimes in trying to advocate or help a patient, I end up explaining things.
Okay.
But I try not to go too far in, because, there are certain parameters that we as team members are allowed to go without sounding like we are giving a diagnosis.
Right.
But I still have to kind of be cognizant to kind of curb that. And I
Right.
think that some team members might struggle with that. I mean, I know I do personally.
So do you feel like in a job, if you had a job mindset, then you would have never.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, because it's kind of just like you said, it's when you go to a job, you're just there to collect a check, do what you need to do, probably the bare minimum to get through, not get reprimanded, go home, wash, rinse, lather, repeat. For someone who is passionate about the job, which I know that I am, because I recently had a situation in regards to a patient and advocating for them, and it's just innate in me to just jump in and start,
Yes, you are helpful. Helpful Helga is what I like to call you. You are quite the helpful one. But that's great, though. That's great, because that comes from, this is my career mindset, as opposed to if it was your job, you would be like, I don't know what to tell you. If you just look on the back of your card, there's an 800 number, and they will be able to help you. So yeah, the difference between having a job mindset and a career mindset does go a long way in not only your professional development and career, but your job satisfaction, as you just pointed out.
You feel fulfilled.
Yes, as opposed to being burned out.
Well, let me tell you, because I'm glad we circle back to that too. Because sometimes if you are a high performer, and I know that I'm a high performer, a lot of things sometimes fall on deaf ears and also aren't seen, because I think some people in certain spaces, when you are a high performer, people tend to forget that that's what you are, because that's normally how you are.
Right.
And that it's not something extraordinary. So, you know what? Sorry, everyone, we're back. We had a true in-office moment.
Yes, we did. There was an emergency.
What we were talking about is leading into burnout, because if you're a high performer, because of your high performance, you end up getting burnt out, and you feel it even more when it doesn't get recognized or acknowledged, because have become so acclimated to you performing that way.
And that is something high performers can get burned out if they do not set boundaries for themselves and those around them who have the expectation of the high performer. So typically a high performer is overlooked because that's just what you do. So it's expected of you. So it could be two of us in the same role, in the same position, doing the same things with the same duties, the same responsibilities. If I am a high performer and my teammate is not, even though we're doing the same things in the same office with the same everything, all things being equal, then typically when things need to get done, they're going to dump it on the high performer. If there's this patient that needs special treatment, they're going to dump it on the high performer. So typically when you're being a high performer, and this is often the balance that an assistant has to strike between being a high performer, because that's just who you are and you don't know how to turn it down, and trying not to get everything dumped in your lap because you are a high performer. And that's where the boundaries come into place. Setting boundaries for yourself as a high performer, because you can easily get burned out. A lazy person, a less performing person is not necessarily going to get burned out because they're not working at peak levels. So,
right.
Sorry about that.
You a mess.
We know there's lazy ones. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So learning how to strike a balance between remaining a high performer and not having everything dumped into your basket to do because you are a high performer.
And it hits really hard, because then that makes that particular team member starts to see where they are long term,
Right.
where their vision is going to be
Right.
in that particular position, in that particular space.
Yes, and then you start to feel like I can't do this long term. This isn't sustainable. Then what do? You start trying to dial it down, but when you start trying to dial it back and not be such a high performer, then it's a problem. Like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Is everything all right? Why aren't you? What's going on? And you can't say, yeah, I'm no longer performing at peakness because you are getting on my last nerves. So just for me, it's setting boundaries from the start. That way you won't feel like you are being burned out.
And I totally get that, and I've seen it in real time when we've been in spaces together.
Yeah.
Because if you try to set it later on, because I have been guilty of this, because it's not that I think we all want to not be viewed a certain way in our position, especially when you look like us.
Correct.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's not. I don't want to say it's.
Girl, say it because it's true. So the bottom line is this: when you are a person of color in a predominantly non melanated dominated field, then you already feel like you have to go in being a super performer in order to prove your worth.
And it's
for
not
being
even just
in
in
the
our
space.
field. It's
No,
in the
period.
career sector. Period.
It's period. But when you are a high performing person of color, you are often, again, sometimes, I shouldn't say often, but sometimes you are, your performance is dismissed. And I don't mean dismissed as in, but dismissed in the way that people think it's a compliment. Like, oh, that's just Gina. That's just how she is. She's all customer servicey and whatnot. And so blah 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 blah, and then the minute that you're not, and the minute you say I can't not take on that task, can you go ahead and complete that
You're
yourself,
viewed as a
it's like
problem.
like why are you being so hard to work with now?
Yeah, because remember that doctor that I used to work with that wanted to participate in things unsavory when it came to dental insurance.
Yes.
And when I started to have questions,
Yes.
because I was ignorant at the time. And so I started asking questions, and I was kind of like blown off. And then I called you up, like, girl, so here's the situation. Can you explain this to me? Because I'm trying to understand this. So
Right.
that way, when a patient asks, I'm prepared. And so you're like, girl, that's straight up fraud. And I was like, like, what am I getting into?
Right.
You know?
So you were a high performer, but when you started questioning things, then you became a problem. They forget about how much you
Oh, I was a
contributed.
major problem. I had become the problem. See, he didn't know that a patient was really close to me. We developed a closeness. Now we're friends outside of there because she knew that she could trust me. She would
Right.
always pull me to the side like, hey, what's going on with this bill? And I have to explain it.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit there and lie to a patient because she's going to get different information and then go come back and say, well, you said blah 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 blah. So I'm gonna have to tell the truth. So I'm gonna tell it in this moment.
Right.
So that was that, girl.
But here's the thing. How do you recognize when you've reached your ceiling?
People in general may feel that there are, because different practices have their way of, I guess, measuring that.
Right.
Whether if it's like a performance, like when, if you do, remember I used to do performance reviews for us?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a performance review to see where the team member is in this moment and how much they've obtained and have progressed and flourished, then I guess is how you can determine where they go as far as position wise, because they may not feel if there's any growth, that there may not be any future financial opportunities because of where we are right now in the economy.
That's an interesting view. So for me, I feel like as an assistant, there is no ceiling for me. Now, how do you recognize what your own ceiling is, what your own growth ceiling is. And that's where I would go with it. So I think individually you have a growth ceiling, or individually you have an idea of how you want to grow in your position, in your career. And some people don't. Some people are just chugging along, like we said, in their job. So for me, I can recognize when teammates are at a growth ceiling.
Let me ask you a quick question. When you did my review last time when we were together, where was I?
You were on a upward trajectory, and I'm not saying that because we're sitting here and I would.
Oh no, you have you have given me the real.
Yes. Yes.
And then after the fact,
okay. I'm just being honest. But you have a career mindset, so your career growth and your growth trajectory, you're always looking to the next level, the next highest level. You have some of us in this profession who are fine with the status quo. You have some who are
go along to get along.
Right. You have some who are just learn a little bit more, I guess. And then you have those who are, the possibilities are endless, and I want to see how far I can take this. And that's me. Let's see how far I can take this. Let's see how far I can go kind of assistant. And here's the thing. If you are in one position in assisting and you think that you are not doing well, like for instance, for me, I would not do well in Indo, and I did not do well in Indo. It was not my jam. I did not like it. I was not interested in it.
We talked about that, and how I liked working with.
Yes,
Dr.
you did.
G.
I did not. So for me, and for all of you professionals, it's okay to go ahead and pivot and not feel like I'm just not a good assistant. That was never my thought process. It was just like, this is just not my thing. And being able to pivot from what you're doing or where you're doing it and not feel like, man, this is just not for me, or I'm just not good at it.
And if I may give some unsolicited advice to our cup holders, if you find yourself in a position to be able to be moved around, because I had that opportunity at the first office that I've ever worked in that we met at, because I've had an opportunity to work a little bit in pedo, I've had an opportunity to work in perio, endo, as an assistant, as well as hygiene assistant and regular doctor assistant. And for me personally, I was able to take little nuggets from all of those, even from my time like in high school when I worked at McDonald's. I still remember certain things that I even still apply to where I am professionally now, and they still work. But I found that being able to bounce around, that I liked general, definitely, and endo. At least Dr. G made it fun for me. But he would see maybe 2 or 3 patients. So it just, it flew. For people who think, and like I said, for me, I felt that there was a ceiling because of the spaces that I was in.
Because of the spaces you're in.
Correct. So
it depends on what office you're in and what the leadership looks like. That would kind of determine whether or not you feel like there's a ceiling. Like, I don't feel like there's a ceiling for me on a personal level. And then maybe that confidence carries through. And that's why there's never been a ceiling at the offices. Revelation, just had one. I think it may have been the fact that that's how I present. I present as an assistant who wants to do more and be better. Girl.
Yes.
What?
And you always start off with, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
But, and don't ever feel bad if you decide to try something else. Don't feel like you fail, because what you're doing is that you're still building your dental career. And you may fall out of love with it, because I've told you that many a times, girl, we need a divorce. I want out of this field, but it's the spaces that I'm in. It's that I've been in that made me feel that way. Because there's been times where I'm just like, Lord, I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being tired. It's your space. The space that you are in can definitely make or break a team member.
Yeah. And how you view this industry, how you view this career, how you view what you're doing, the choices that you've made. So I would say that in building your career. And I like how you said you brought some things over from McDonald's.
Mm-hmm. Girl, I love working at drive-through window. Me and my girl Kelly.
You'll be using your McDonald app.
No, we didn't have.
I know that.
Girl, we had the McValue the McValue when it was really a value.
Oh,
Oh yeah, girl.
okay.
And the speaker box and everything with the gum one.
Mm. Okay. Um, that is something else. I would say, um, to kind of tie this all up and tie this all together is making sure that you know what kind of mindset you have in this field as far as your career or job is concerned. Act accordingly. If it's a job, it's a job. Hey, there's no right or wrong. It's just your personal preference about it. How to make sure or to look at your long-term vision about what you're doing, to recognize if you're being burned out, and then make sure you pivot and do something about that. Especially if you like the field, but you feel like, I don't want to do this because this is what it's going to be about, because it's not always going to be about that. You just might be in the wrong space to do that. And then building your career and being in the mindset of this is your passion, this is really what you love doing, and then do it. And then do it to the best of your abilities. That's what I would say.
But I will say this, if I may, so that way we close this out. Make sure that if you want to do this, do it. Because if you are over it and you are done, then you need to leave the field, because this field, it's a very intimate position.
Yes, it is.
Because a lot of people come to you very vulnerable. So if you don't have a passion for being in dentistry, you don't need to be in it, because it will definitely register that you are just there to collect the check, and the patient is going to sense that, and it's going to make a very unpleasant experience for that patient, especially if they're coming to you with reservations and anxieties. So definitely think about that. I mean, just in the medical field in general, how many doctors that we've seen that had nurses that don't want to be there, and the visit, you're just like, oh, I can't wait to get through this.
Oh, see, look at you. You're just always looking out for los pacientes and all those involved. That is so wonderful. I love it.
Well, on that, we're going to sip our tea, and we'll be back later.
Yeah. This is tea.